for me, I have a big heart for helping families out because I know how bad and how difficult it can be if you have a lot of financial tensions. I am taking you on a journey of revival in my life and the life of others in hope that your life will be revived in the process. Hey, what is going on, guys? So we are back with another podcast episode, and today we will be talking about why monetizing can be the wrong move. Most of the time, it is a good move to make if you want to make some more money in your business. But sometimes monetizing can create more problems than it can, create benefits to you. And so we're going to go over that today and talk about when monetizing may not be the correct choice for you and why does monetizing sometimes have a lot more hardship on it when you are doing it, right? Like the things that you once enjoyed aren't as enjoyable as they used to be. And so we're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to go over just a few things about, why you may not want to monetize certain things that you enjoy. But real quick, we're going to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Have you wanted to make a podcast but didn't know how to get started? That was me until I found Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That is ANCHOR.FM to get started now. Have you pondered creating an online business but didn't know how or where to get started? Our mission is to help you discover and live your passion by architecting a profitable business that delivers incredible value to the market and profits to you. What you will do is work with a coach one-on-one to discover what has held you back until now. You're going to set new goals and explore suitable opportunities to design and finance the lifestyle you want. What if I don't have enough time? Well, you don't need a lot of time to get started. You literally can do this part-time or full-time depending on your needs. What if I am not tech savvy? Well, you don't need to be tech savvy. You literally will get step-by-step instructions on how to create the online business that is most suited for you. What if I don't feel like a business person by design? Well, you get access to personal mentorship and a Facebook mastermind group with multiple training calls per week so that you can grow into that business person that you're desiring to be. You can get started by going to therevivalcouple.com. That is TheRevivalCouple.com to get started now. All right. Thank you guys for, jumping on and listening to this podcast episode. Today is just very, very important because so many times, we get this saying or we have this saying that is spoken over our life, right? And it says, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Is that true? Kinda. But what we don't talk about is what happens when that thing we love to do is not capable of being the thing that actually provides income. What happens then? What I've seen happen, at least for a lot of different people, is they will go into something that they love. Like, for example, musicians that go to Juilliard. They go there and they have to play, like, if they're playing piano or whatever instrument, hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of music, and they have to practice nonstop, and they do like insane amount of work on the thing that they enjoy. But once they do that, sometimes they lose that passion for actually playing music. They actually have literally exhausted their own desire to play music, and sometimes they will end up falling away from that passion, from that desire, and it's very, very sad. And so I don't want that to happen for you. Some people like cooking, but that does not mean that you want to start up your own restaurant. Realistically, you could like cooking and just cook as a hobby and be perfectly fine. Cook meals when family comes over, when friends come over, barbecue, whatever, right? That's going to be your choice at the end of the day. But when is like monetizing the wrong move to make? And we're going to dive into that more and more. So stay tuned and keep watching till the end, because you will literally get a lot of value from this. Because for me, there are certain things I like to do. Like I like to play music, for instance, I like to play music. I love to play jazz. I love to play hip hop like style beats and stuff. I love to play guitar. There's a lot of things that I like to do, right? And they're just very, very enjoyable. But when I turn it into a business, sometimes that joy slowly starts to slip away. And so from everyone, looking out from the outside looking in, they will tell you that the thing you enjoy to do should be the thing that makes you money. Now, what if you like to, for instance, play music? If you are not the top artist out there, it's going to be very hard to make a living being a musician. Can you go from bar to bar, gig to gig? Yes. But you may suffer on the quality of life that you're living. And a lot of people don't understand this. It's like, oh, do I want to be happy or do I want to have money? Do I want to struggle financially but still do what I'm loving, because like my passion's in music? But no one ever really looks at potentially doing both. What if you create something that is like a business or a passion of yours as well, that isn't solely, what you're doing? So like for me, if I'm going to help out at a church that I go to, or, sow into a ministry, I want to be able to do that freely without having to worry about the finances and income, right? So what does that mean? That means for me to be able to do this thing, even if I was going to be a missionary, let's say travel to different countries and spread the good news, right? If I go do that, I feel a moral obligation that I have to pay for it, because if I don't pay for it, then it becomes a job. Now I'm literally having to ask people for money. And if I'm not doing certain things with that money or hitting these milestones or hitting these marks, then, other people are not going to be too happy with it. Also, you can scale a business up to a certain level and have it be like enjoyable. But then once you scale it from, I don't know, let's say 100,000 up to $1 million, right? I haven't done that yet. I'm still trying to hit 100,000 on Amazon, total sales on Amazon, and we're about 10,000 away. So that's very, very cool. I'm super pumped about it, but it's just like going from 100,000 to $1 million, like I've heard multiple people say, is very unenjoyable. Some people will love working whatever job or business they're doing up to 100,000, but then scaling it up to $1 million, they hate their life because they're spending 16 to 20 hours every single day, or they're spending 12 to 16 hours every single day. And it just becomes like that passion, that fire that actually started you and got you going and doing the thing that you were passionate about, slowly dwindles away, because now it's not something you enjoy. Now it's something you have to do to survive. And so from the outside looking in, a lot of people will tell you, oh, it's okay. Go follow your passions, go follow your dreams, but at what cost, And so they're telling you to do that because they realize that in their life, they were never actually going after those dreams. They were never actually going to accomplish those goals because they didn't have a big enough reason why they wanted to do it, right? Nor did they have probably the stability to do it. Now, I'm a firm believer. If you want to go do something, go do it. But it does take a lot of sifting and figuring stuff out to be able to get that to happen. Like sometimes you have to make a side income to be able to be a musician, you know? And so a lot of musicians know that. If you go to uh, Tennessee, if you go to like LA, if you go to like a bunch of different places that have artists, they understand they still need to work a job so that they can pursue their passions in whatever industry it is. And so that is what I'm trying to get across today. Also, like if you like basketball, if you like football, you can always go out play recreational sports on a team and do like a flag football team or like a certain division basketball team or whatever, right? But you're not getting paid from these most likely. Sometimes you'll play on a league and you'll win, you'll get trophies, you'll get like, I don't know, some other stuff that they will give you for winning, but you're not a professional. And so it's kind of like if you're not expecting that hobby to bring in your full-time income, because you realize you have to be like either NFL, NBA, you have to be a professional athlete to be able to have it be your career or go overseas and do it, right? You can do it for like foreign countries, play football for them. And so you realize that you have to be a professional to be able to do those things. But sometimes as artists, as musicians, as people who are more creative, they aren't as aware of that. They're willing to sacrifice their livelihood to be able to do something that is what they're passionate towards. And it's fine, right? But like for me personally, I did not want to go to school, put myself in a whole bunch of debt and potentially not make any money. Make like 10 to 20 grand where I can barely live off of, where I could barely survive, and I know it's going to create more hardships in my life. Also, it would create hardships in my family's life if I had to try to live off of such a small amount. And so I realized from a young age that I wanted to have something that feeds into my passions into music. And if I even produce stuff or if I create stuff, I want to be able to do it for free and still have an income coming from something else so that I can still enjoy it, Like, so that's just a big, big passion of mine. And I realized that I needed to enjoy playing music. I wanted to enjoy creating music. And so for me, I'm big on Christian rap. I'm big on Christian hip hop or acoustic stuff. Like I'm very big on jazz too. I like it. It's pretty cool when you can get a bluesy or a jazzy song mixed in with like a hip hop beat, And so I'm very passionate about that. But at what point do you lose that passion? And so that's where I was like, I don't want to lose that passion. I want to do it, but I don't want to scrape by. I don't want to have to ask people for money. I don't want to have to perform on the streets just to barely survive, And so that was where I was coming from. And I knew my passion was so huge for music that I did not want it to flop, if you get what I'm saying. I didn't want to go towards it and have it fail because when I wasn't good enough at it, I didn't have enough traction. I wasn't able to reach the people I needed to reach to get that. And so with that, I came into my big issue. I wanted to produce music, but I didn't know when I was going to be able to do it. I didn't know the time frame when it was going to be possible. I didn't know if I could even do it because at this time it was either I'm going into the Marine Corps and starting a new career in a sense, or I'm going to school as an audio engineer and just hope for the best, just like I'm taking a big leap of faith, And so I eventually joined the Marine Corps. and did that and served. And I did enjoy it. I did enjoy my time there, but there wasn't as much desire to stay in because I knew my passion was still playing music. And so, I had a big choice to make. I literally got to the point where it was like, do you want to re-enlist, sign on, get a bonus? Like the bonuses are insane. They were offering 50,000 for the job that I was in to stay in for another 4 years. And then if I transferred over to cybersecurity, which I had the ability to do through my job field or whatever, they would pay me additional 40,000. And then since I was doing it early, they would throw another 8,000 on. So we're talking close to $100,000 to re-enlist. And so at some point you have to weigh the odds. And for me, my odds were, if I stay in for another 5-6 years, right, I'm probably going to be pretty hurt and my body's going to be exhausted. I'm probably not going to want to go out there and do all these things that I can do while I'm young, And so I had to weigh that. Is my happiness more important than, temporary money that ultimately is nothing? In my eyes, time is always more valuable than money. Literally, you have to spend your time doing whatever it takes to put food on the table. You have to spend your time literally doing things that you typically don't want to do when you go to a job or whatever. But when you have enough income that allows you to spend time however you want to, then that is literally priceless. Like that is the biggest thing. Even if it was like 50,000, 100,000, whatever it was, right? Let's say you're able to do that thing without having to worry about, having to go to a job every day and clock in and waste 8 to 10 hours, depending on traffic, depending on, overtime, depending on all this stuff. You could even be working like 12, 16-hour days. So you're very limited to how much time you're able to do on the things you enjoy. And so I had enough. I did not want to keep going to a job. I did not want to keep clocking in and having, their desires over my life be more important than my desires over my life. And so I realized that I needed to do something else. And I ran into this realization while I was still in the military and I was searching. So I found it. I found a way out. And I really never saw that much results. I paid for courses and the courses were good, but they weren't encouraging me to take action, which was the biggest problem I think I had. But I still had this passion, right, for music. And so as I was going through from, I would say a couple of years back, I was going, through the military. I was like, well, what am I going to do once I get out of the military? Now, the cool thing is they provide funding for school. And I'm not a big school person. I honestly do not like going to school because there's a lot of subjects that I honestly just don't care about and that I don't honestly think will benefit my life in any way. And so that was kind of my issue while I was in high school is I would pay attention to weight training, music class, and certain things that I actually enjoyed. And then I'd be like, it's not really relevant to me. Who cares? And then I wouldn't work as hard or try as hard for the other classes. And so that was my thing. It's like, what do I want to do? And I found this school and it's literally just a trade school for audio engineers. Everyone would tell me, they'd be like, Tobias, just go to Full Sail or just go to this or just go to that. Like you could go there and you could do it all online. I'm like, but am I getting the best training in, it's like a boot camp in a sense is how I envision it, right? I'm going to a boot camp for 9 months to 11 months with the internship and everything, right? To learn the ins and outs of audio engineering. It's literally, you jump in the water, like you get thrown in the water and you got to figure out how to swim type of program. And it gives you a lot of hands-on experience and it allows you to learn every area of audio engineering. for broadcast sound, for music studios, for video game sounds, for movie sounds when you need to do voiceovers, to add in audio clips for movies or TV shows. And so that was like, I want to do this. Yes. Can I do this? And then the other issues that came up were like, well, if I go to school, how are my kids going to be taken care of? If I go to school, I'm not going to be able to work. How am I going to be taken care of? And so there were a lot of things that came up, but I realized that the only way, literally the only way I could make and create and produce music to my heart's content without feeling the extra pressure of allowing that passion of mine, right? If I didn't want to feel the pressure of that passion of mine, you know, having to bring in money and having to provide food on the table and having to have it as something that is going to create my, like, keep my livelihood and my family's livelihood and keep us good, then I would have to find it somewhere else. So I'm going to say that again. In order for me to continue to enjoy producing music, creating music, and, you know, have a genuine passion for this thing in my life, it couldn't be my main source of income. Now, someday I hope that it will be a source of income or an extra source of income, but it should never be my main source of income. It should be like extra is coming from it just due to the fact that, you know, I'm doing good things in the audio engineer world or in the music and video production world, which is what I am going after, you know, maybe not movies, but like audio and video production is a big passion of mine. As you guys can see, I create a podcast, but what I wanted to record it. So if you don't know, if you're actually listening to this podcast, go to youtube.com/ the letter C, right? And then / the revival couple, and you'll see my YouTube channel. I'm mostly in it. My wife has been in it before multiple times, and she loves to. But reality of our life right now, she literally is taking care of the kids, and she plays a big role in their lives. And so that is also why we understood that we need income from somewhere else. And so we dove in to figuring out how to get income in from something else so that we could pursue our passions. For my wife, for example, she's very passionate about literally helping out different people. And literally, she's very passionate about being the person who can help out in church and children's ministry. She wants to help out in multiple different nonprofit organizations, and she has a big heart for helping others out. And for me, you know, I have a big heart for helping families out because I know how bad and how difficult it can be if you have a lot of financial tensions. And so since there are a bunch of financial tensions that can happen when you are relying on your creatives to provide a full-time income without having something else providing it, I know how frustrating it can get and how exhausting it can get to do that thing. If you ask a lot of chefs, like, they probably enjoy cooking, but if you have to do it every day, you may not enjoy it as much. It's like me, if I'm watching kids all day, am I going to want to come back home and then watch my own kids? Or if I'm cleaning houses, for example, all day, and then I come back home, am I going to want to clean my house really? Probably not. So that's just how it goes. And you can find yourself getting burnt out because you are trying to make a passion a source of income. And so that's what I figured out. So if you're in a place where you're feeling the pressure, you're feeling the anxiety because you understand that you still need to live, you still need to provide, but you're trying to do it through one avenue, which is through your creative or your whatever you're doing that you enjoy, then I would encourage you to potentially not monetize that skill. Don't monetize that skill. Use that skill as something that you actually enjoy. And then in time, when it grows, when you get better, when more people see your stuff, you can make a source of income from it, but that's not your primary source of income. And so I think that is very, very important because if you have to do what you're doing as your main source of income, it's going to pressure you to go out and sell it more. For instance, with me helping others create a business, the only way I can be successful and genuine and true to them is going to be putting the money aspect aside and honestly looking into their life and seeing, hey, how can I serve you? What can I do to provide that value, to provide that service to you so that ultimately your life can be revived and you can create something that is going to be long lasting. And not only are you going to create something, you're going to make this thing in the proper time frame so that you're not coming out like too much. You don't want to stretch yourself too thin. And so I understand that. And I talk to a lot of people trying to get started with Amazon automation. I talk to a lot of people that want to get started with a business of their own. I talk to a lot of people that are interested in doing something new because they're tired of the same old over and over and over again. And they just want to progress into something that they enjoy, something that brings them happiness and something that brings them, a sense of peace, because they know they are doing it the correct way. And it's never good to go after something that you're doing. And like, if I'm like, bro, I need this money in from this sale of someone coming into Amazon automation. I need this money coming in from an affiliate offer that I'm promoting. I need this money for, these things, right? If I get to that point, I'm not going to care whether it's best for the person I'm trying to serve. I'm just going to get them in because if I don't get them in, I'm going to be starving. We're going to be, broke. We're not going to be able to survive. And so now you changed your passion into something that is now a survival mode. You're like in survival mode and you don't care what you have to do. You're going to survive. Whether you step on, Joe Smo over there, right? Whether you step on him to be able to survive, you're going to do whatever it takes to provide for your family. And so that is why you cannot have your passion at times be monetized. Because if it is, then it makes it so difficult, so challenging to be able to get it done. With that, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you like this video, definitely drop a like down below. If you think someone else will find value from it, share it because it makes me smile like I am right now. As always, let's go out there. Let's revive our lives together. Let's get it done. And until the next podcast episode, have a good one.